Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm back again, and yeah, it's been a mad one since I was last on. Life has been a bit special. Britball's asleep at the moment. We're waiting for all this COVID stuff to blow over. But yeah, hopefully ball will be back soon. So yeah, me as a footballer on a transatlantic level, the round stuff and the egg stuff, I've got a few guests together that can help me kind of vibes on the nuances between the two sports. And yeah, as a kicker and a specialist in the sport after 12, 13 years of the fun, I thought I'd get some guys together that share a perspective on the pros and cons of both the sports and the journey that a British player can possibly go on if they push themselves. All right, guest number one and co-host today, grilling my super special guest, who I'm yet to introduce, is Mr. Ashley Michael James. So those of you in Britball will recognize this mature, refined young face from teams such as, go on, introduce yourself, sir.
Yeah, so in the UK, I've been with the Olympians, I've been with the Farnham Knights, and that's about it. Hung up the boots real quick.
Nah, but you made waves in the time you was there. That number 4 catching the ball and just whizzing around and no one could touch him, man. But go a little bit more into your previous resume in the States and the lovelier journey you had.
Yeah, so I mean, I actually moved it to the States quite young, a bit like the Jay Ajayi story and a lot of the other guys out there as well. So I mean, I got to be bred in it. But as a British player, I was a actual proper soccer football player. That's what I did till I was about 14. But then when you're in Texas, you don't get a choice.
Ooh, Texas,
Uh,
baby.
Freshman football, they just say, look,
Amen.
it's a mandatory requirement. And
Uh-huh.
I mean, I've always kind of watched the game. I like the game. I'm interested in the game. But and then they, the good thing about there is they got so much structure. You've got the chewer days. You've got everything there. You've got the best coaches. You've got coaches that go, hang out with Dabo Sweeney and that. I mean, back then,
Jeez,
Gary
name
Oliver.
dropping
Yeah.
like it's hot.
I mean, I was quite lucky. We went to a prestigious school in terms of
That's good. That's good.
a sleeping giant. So we've got NFL
Amen.
players. We had Matt Norgren, Ryan Moats.
Wow. I know you're
I mean,
dropping bombs that certain people ain't gonna understand, but it's so good, man. They can
yeah,
Google these people and watch some
showing
serious highlights.
some age there. They're like,
Just a
who's
bit
that?
of
Who's
age.
that?
Fine wine and all that. All right. So we're approaching 8 o'clock, and at 8 o'clock, I'm gonna bring on my two guests who, again, I was lucky enough to meet one literally within the last 2 weeks, and the other one within the last 2 years. And you know what it is? This sport has definitely made me realize how sociable and how it opens up your horizons. And for those of you that don't know, I was in Top Boy, and if it wasn't for American football, I wouldn't have been in Top. But that's a whole nother episode. But yeah, here what we do. What we got? What's the time? We got 58. So Ash, in regards to kicking, then, how has your ability to kick impacted your NFL football career?
You know what? They didn't let me kick in Texas. That was the one thing they did not let me do.
Well,
It's
I don't
like,
know. The pigment was a bit too heavy, so I think.
no, they knew I could. Obviously, they knew I was from soccer, but for some
Yeah.
reason, I was on. They knew that kicking was literally the only time I'd have a break. The only time I would be able
Okay.
to come off the field was field goal
Yeah.
and but obviously also field goal block and kickoff
Yeah.
return. So kickoff I didn't have
Okay.
to do unless I was a
Well, gunner
freshman.
on
But
the
yeah,
edge for their field goal block to dive across, yeah?
yeah, man.
You were that guy, fast twitch fibers, explosiveness. Now, to be fair, when I first started playing the sport at 15 stone, I was playing every down except for offense. So that was all special teams, if not kicking or running down the field. And every defensive down, I was middle back, I just running the show. So, yeah, we'll get down to 15 stone again. We'll see what's popping. But yeah, right, let's get into this. So, my two guests today are actually YouTube celebrities on the sly. You might recognize some faces and some names. I won't blow up their thing. I'll let them introduce themselves. But yeah, bring in the boys. One, Mr. John and Mr. Jack, the double J's. Mr. Jack, I
What's
think
up,
you're actually
boys?
older, so seniority first. Jack, introduce yourself, sir, for those that don't know you.
Yeah, so Jack, some guys probably know me as Jazzy Bruce from
Jeez.
SC Dons,
Jack.
which I play for on Sundays and stuff. When obviously the football season,
Just the biggest YouTube
Britball
team in
isn't
the
on.
country and that. Just the biggest YouTube team in the country.
Oh,
You said it. I wasn't gonna drop names because Ash was already dropping quite a few, but yeah, but yeah, if you wanna, yeah, we are one of the biggest YouTube teams in the country for football, soccer. I was lucky enough to again go out to America. I spent some time in Texas, Ash. I'm not, so we can have a chat after and catch up on that life. But yeah, I spent some time in Texas, some time in Los Angeles, a bit of time in Alabama. Originally, obviously going out on a soccer scholarship. And then I spent 1 year playing American football at JUCO over there in LA.
Wow.
Which taught me a lot and really got
Sunshine State, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's Florida.
Florida,
yeah. You know,
yeah.
It's sun, more sun than England, man. More sun than England.
These Brits, man.
That's it, man. Teach us.
But no, spent some time, like I say, I did a year playing both soccer and football at JUCO. Taught me a lot, and that's where I sort of found my love for American football, man.
Excellent. All right, pause you there, my friend. My next guest is also from a similar background. I think ever so slightly younger, but yeah, introduce yourself, sir.
Yeah, so my name is John, better known as Jansev27, and I'm actually a goalkeeper for the rival team of SE Dons. Well, I'd say rival.
You played it? Have you actually played it?
I actually haven't played against the team, but we've definitely have like a bit of because I also play for another Sunday League YouTube team in Under the Radar. So yeah. So I've only recently joined, but I do also have a history of playing out in the States as well. Okay. So I was out in the States for 3 years, and technically on paper I am still eligible for another year. But yeah, I was playing
eligible bachelor, ladies. Eligible bachelor.
Yeah, I was playing what they call soccer over there out in St. Louis for 1.5 years, and then I moved down to Louisiana to play for a branch of LSU. So it was a really, really cool experience just to see the culture as well of American football. And luckily enough, I was also working for a charity called Big Kid Foundation, and they literally started to have like ties with the NFL quite recently as well.
And they got a very famous ambassador, right?
Exactly, yeah, F.A. Obada. So
wow.
Yeah, it's quite cool. Any single time I get to talk to him as well, because he's such a down to earth person, so he kind of got me into it as well. But yeah, that's like my quick fire story, I guess.
Awesome. All right. So let's get into this. Where should we start? All right, first quarter. Preparing for games and being about it. So me and Ash are more on a coach vibe at the moment. We're getting to the ends of our careers. But for you two guys who are, experienced and kind of still with kind of options, tell me the pros and cons about obviously soccer versus American football. Jack, you can go first, sir.
I mean, going back to my time in the States, like I said, I was very fortunate at junior college. I was able to play both sports in the same term. And then when it sort of came down to it, after and getting a few offers from schools to play both sports, I kind of had to decide, and it was difficult. And in the end, due to not being D1 eligible, I just decided to sort of stick with what I knew, going out there, and did that. But I had some really, really good offers at the time and stuff. But yeah, man, I kind of just cut my losses and stuck with what I knew. And then over here, it's difficult because there's that April to sort of May time of the year where you're crossing over games. So, and it's usually at the start of the American football season and towards the end of the we'll say soccer season. And that's when the important games are for your clubs, your finals and stuff like that. So the last, 3 or 4 years, I've kind of had to put American football on the back burner for the first few weeks of the season and miss a couple games to sort of play in those big games, which is disappointing because you don't get as many games a season for American football as you do for the soccer season. But it's one of those things, man. You just gotta crack on with it and take it as it goes.
And you say about D1 eligible, quickly explain to those guys that are obviously young and thinking, all right, do I focus on American football? Do I focus on soccer? Do I focus on school? How does it work for, say, a 16-year-old who's thinking, all right, I want to focus on my athletics. I want to get sporty. What do I do?
I mean, as far as that goes, it's all about firstly having good grades, man. A lot of the kids over here take education for granted, to be quite honest. And it wasn't until I was over in the US that I realized how important education systems really are.
More important than over here? How did you feel that difference? What was it that kind of hammered that home for you?
Well, like when I was sort of applying to go over to the US, I had a few friends who weren't eligible for schools and did poorly on the SAT, which is like an exam you take to get into the colleges over there. And, you know, if you do poorly on those grades, one reason is that you might not get into a school you want to go to, or you might not even be eligible to go to a Division 1, 2, 3 or NAIA school. Which means you'd have to go to JUCO, or junior college. And then obviously the second thing would be with regards to money. The smarter you are, the cleverer you are, the more chance you're going to get of getting sort of some academic scholarship, which goes a big way towards your obviously athletic scholarship, which is all about your athletic ability. So for me, education is anyone that I speak to about it, and I get quite a lot of guys messaging me about the opportunity and stuff, and that's the number one thing I sort of reiterate and tell those guys, you know. Oh, sorry, bro.
No. I'm chatting on this. I'm telling all the Instagram people saying they can't hear my guests to go onto Facebook and actually watch the thing. So go onto my Facebook profile, Victor Mufasa Amzie, and you'll be able to see the actual link to the full show. Yeah, right. So, John, jump in, my friend. How was your journey been? Kind of what kind of gave you the opportunity to enjoy the best of both worlds over here and in the States? Have you actually played Britball? Have you played American football in the UK at all?
Only purely a soccer guy? Only flag.
Flagged.
Play, like, you know, playfully, but you know what? It's funny actually, because it actually did open up my eyes being over there, because the culture of just like soccer and football in general is so different over there that like as a soccer player over there, we've had games where we had more away fans to our games sometimes than we did people from our own campus. So it was tough, but actually just being out there and like learning more about American football was really cool. I remember just waking up during the weekend, spending the Saturday watching some college games, and then on Sunday watching the actual NFL games and stuff like that. So it did make me learn quite a lot about the sport in general, and I kind of like fell in love with it a little bit. And it might actually be just me playing Madden and stuff like that kind of helped out a little bit as well.
I love it.
But yeah, you know what? Like the journey over there in America has been a little bit of a love and hate relationship, because I do understand what it means about you know, making sure you get the scholarships, because I've been in a situation before where I had a team from, you know, NCAA message me saying, listen, we'll give you an 80% scholarship, you won't have to pay nothing, and only to find out that 80% was still that you had to pay like 18 grand, which for somebody that's coming from London, you and going to university over here, you'll probably think 18 grand a year. That just doesn't make sense.
Money. That's master's money.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
But yeah, it's very true. Like they do care, and the weird thing is, over here in this country, you probably care more about how many GCSEs you get. So like the quantity, but over there it's all about quality. They just care on how many A's you get, and that can change for like the situation of how many, like how good your scholarship is. So I had a situation where I was, I think, 0.05 or something like that points away from getting like a full ride, and I had to just settle for like half a scholarship and stuff like that. And it can take a toll. It can take, like, my family had a tough time with it.
You know what? I hear when you mention the word quality, it is something that obviously you don't appreciate until you see it firsthand. So even obviously when I met you, I came to meet you in southwest of London, and we were messing about on a 5G field. And you think of London, you think of like growing up, concrete jungle, whatever. facilities are there, the quality of sport and the understanding of sport hopefully is shifting now, and the tool that it is. Mr. Ashley, your experiences then on the quality of sport and the importance of emphasizing the quality of life that you can have if you focus on, sport and athletic ability. Talk to us.
Yeah, I think America, the big word for America, I think Jack and also John will recognize as well, is system. So it goes along with those grades. It seems really dark, but in England, most people are going to uni to get the best grades that they can, to get into the best medical field or specialty that they can, to make them better people in general. Whereas America, it's not like that. If you look at all these guys in the NFL and just in general, they're taking classes to pass. They're taking the professors that they find out who are going to be the easiest way to pass. Because in America, it's once again about scholarships. So you could take someone that gets a basic degree, what they call universal studies. It's very easy to get. But if you get all the A's in that, get all the credits that you need, that qualifies you for grad school. So in theory, it's kind of empty, but you've got to play the game. It's an absolute game there. And the question is, what do? Do you take something like advanced calculus and test yourself, make you a better individual? Or do you take something basic? Yeah. Or do you take something like very, very basic algebra? Because if you fail, your athletic scholarship gets pulled. And at the same token as well is you're training at 6 a.m, you've got a lunch session, you've got a dinner session, you've got social things that you have to do as well, and you've got like class in between. So you're not at maximum capacity. All these other college students, a lot of them are just going to school. That's all they care about. That's all they got to do. You've got to be A levels there. You've got to be A levels. So when you talk about the quality of life, it's a lot of things that, I guarantee a lot of the guys that have been out there, when you talk about, it doesn't matter if it's football culture or American football culture, you've got to be all in or you get chewed up and spit out real quick.
So you got to be versatile. All right, let me roll with that. Both of you just so happen to have hands and feet. Which one of you wants to go first on elaborating on that? Go on. Well, he's bravest, no pun intended.
What do you mean by the hands and feet there?
Hands and feet. So we talk about soccer, we talk about football, we talk about hands, and we talk about feet.
All right, cool. I guess yes, I'll go first. So obviously I play in goal as well on a Saturday. And then I play out on pitch for the Dons and stuff. But yeah, so I've always sort of grown up playing as a goalkeeper from sort of 15.
The bravest position on the field, just to add that one.
Yeah, the craziest, man. Craziest.
But you got to be crazy to play American football, no?
Yeah, a little bit, man, a little bit. And yeah, obviously, like you say, with the feet, the way the game's changing and stuff, you've got to be able to play with your feet and get yourself out of problems, because some of the back passes you be getting nowadays from defenders are just mad.
Shout out to the defenders.
But then obviously moving on, for me it was kind of a natural sort of transition. At my first school, I went to University of West Alabama, so it was a real sort of hard knocks place in the middle of nowhere, Livingston, Alabama, on the border of Mississippi. One day after our soccer training, there was American football left on the field, and just joking around with the guys, they were like, "Oh, I wonder how far you can kick it. Like, let's have a go." So we all sort of went. How far did you kick it? and we put it on the halfway line, Vic. Someone was, as they do. Yeah, place kick, just holding it. Someone as you do. So with a run up, not your typical free step that you take, but with a run up, I kicked it just short of the post by maybe a couple yards, sort of going over. So it was.
That was a soccer field or American football field?
Yes, it was both. So we played our home games on an American football.
Both. So you had to goals did the extra post like that.
Yeah. And then we put our goals in front.
Man.
So yeah, just after practice, and then it just so happened that a few of the American football players were still lingering around after, saw the kick and went a bit mad. So that was where I sort of thought, you know what, I could really think about doing this. And on that team, by the way, just to drop some names at that school I went to at West Al, I was very fortunate enough to go to university there at the same time as Mr. Malcolm Butler.
Damn.
Super Bowl champ for the Patriots.
Damn.
Not that he'll know who I am. We did speak once or twice in the training room, as you do. I'm sure as you boys, former athletes and stuff over there. When you're over there and you're getting treatment, all the athletes are in the same sort of training room, and you sort of meet a lot of the guys from basketball, softball, volleyball, American football, so on and so forth, and you get to know these guys a bit. And Malcolm was always a sort of special player, had a lot of interest from clubs and stuff. And then just after my time there, I don't think he was there, but Tyreek Hill was there the next year, I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
So that school's had
Tyreek Hill, yeah.
For a Division 2 school, it's produced some really good NFL talent in the last sort of 5 or 6 years. But yeah, and then obviously, like I said, I moved on from there, went to LA. I messed up my grades really, really bad at Westdale. I didn't connect with it culturally.
So what was it? What was it that made you kind of falter on the grades then? Distraction, or was it too much?
A lot of distraction, like domestic stuff going on back home.
Oh, fair dues,
man. Girlfriends and stuff that you had back when you were young and you thought it was end of well, that sort of stuff. You had stuff going on with family,
life,
and it's a lot to take in when you're in a place where there's literally nothing to do.
Swear, except for sport and study.
So I left before the semester was over, which completely screwed my my NCAA eligibility.
That word again. All right.
Which is when, Vic, I went to LA, and that's
not the
where
Sunshine State.
That's where I fell in love with the game, and ended up playing for both sides over there, the football and the
seasons lined up, and it worked out to play for both. Wow,
it just meant I had to train twice a day.
I can imagine consistency though, and it keeps you active. When you take 2 weeks off as an athlete, you feel that. Do you know what I mean? If even if you got injuries and that, you're always rehabbing. If you have to stop doing something that you love, mentally and physically, it's going to hit you. But yeah, I'll jump onto John for a second because I know you're on a break at the moment, right? You're back over here, because of things that's going on. Tell me what that's like, what it feels like, how you're keeping yourself busy, and again, the same question that I asked Jazz before. Just fill the people in.
Okay, so to start off with my little break right now, I feel like it was probably the most important break I had in my life so far. So I just come off an injured season out in LSUS, and I injured my wrist literally, I think it was like 1 week before the season started, and it meant that I missed my whole season. And unfortunately, those are the type of things that happen. And with me being injured, and I did have like a pretty good contract. Unfortunately, I was taken away from the team because I was like surplus to requirements at that moment.
Wow, just like that, just because you busted your wrist, you're not looked after.
I mean, we had a really good, quality goalkeeper that came in from Atletico Madrid as well, and all of these things. He was younger than me.
There were a lot of Europeans then.
Yeah, quite a lot. But yeah, so that happened, and it was like one of those things where just before Corona became an even bigger thing, I got an offer from another team in January, but I just didn't like the contract. I thought that I demanded a little bit more, so I decided that I'm just going to wait out, get my better grades, and just see if I can get a better offer. And as I did, Corona struck, and I got stuck here. And
you just worked it out, and then I'm on the brakes.
And then all the other opportunities came about, and so I'm kind of like happy with how things went in that sense. And I'm also a goalkeeper in that sense. And but unlike Jack, I don't have a history with kicking, even though I really wish I did.
You know what? I trained with you the other day, and I swear your technique is. I saw you kicking field goal. I watched a couple of UTR episodes, and you cleared the halfway line easy. It's one of them ones where I know if you and Jack linked up and did a little 5 minutes, you need 5 minutes. Hit it there. Lean back and see you later. Like kickoffs, I know you'll be beasting. Field goals, it's a little bit more.
You know what? It's funny that you say that because I remember taking one field kick at Tottenham Hotspur's stadium, but when they changed it into like the
with big kid,
American football field.
No way.
And I was able to clear it. It was fine, but I mean, it was a little bit too late. But I tried. I was thinking about actually trying to become a kicker out in Louisiana, But then it was one of those things where I just didn't know if I had it in me, so I kind of panicked and never went for it. But
no, never that. As a soccer player, so like I can't remember which player it was. I think it was a Browns player. Their celebration was like kicking like they were kicking the ball. And they must be playing FIFA or whatever. And you know when you know a guy is not a baller and they ain't got a tech, the way he swung his leg, like I was like, yeah, he's been hands all day. Like he's not a feet. Like, but it's one of them ones. If you grow up from the age of we kick balls from like 1-2 years old. You're moving the ball. My little daughter's 15 months and she kicks a ball if you kind of put it in front of her and tell her what to do. So like Pee-wee soccer, Pee-wee American football in Pee-wee, like from when you're doing that in those pads with a helmet on and getting used to the muscle memory, the understanding, the technical ability, like it is what it is. Ash, kids, sport, importance, go for it, bro.
No, I mean, it's cool that you're at LSUS because I was down in Natchitoches, bro. So,
Jeez.
yeah, I know that.
Okay.
You learn your geography, man. Allow it.
No, but I mean, when you talk about the hands and feet thing, I think that was the most difficult thing for me because as a 2-3 sport athlete, getting D1 offers, like at Northwestern State, which what I finally took, you got the American football route, which I thought being at Northwestern State and getting time to bowl. Because the problem as well is you got to make a choice because I was a bit undersized for American football at the collegiate level. I mean, my mind and everything else was there. But do I take a redshirt year? Do you want to wait a redshirt year?
Explain what a redshirt year is to people, please. Redshirt year, you need jargon terms. Come on.
Well, a redshirt year is when you're not eligible to play on the actual field that season. You can use it to base. A lot of people use it if either they're not medically fit, they might need to bulk up, they might need to, get a bit older. Sorry, get a bit more mature, or even if you're coming from overseas, it gives you that 1 year without burning up any of your 4 years of eligibility. To then, next year you get on the field a bit more savvy. Same thing as if you're a quarterback and you got you've got a guaranteed starter. The guy's not going to play. It saves you an extra year, so you hold back.
And being on the sideline, the importance of that, actually being there and seeing it despite not playing, mental reps, is it good?
Oh, see, that's the thing I couldn't handle. I couldn't handle it. So I picked the whole, I can play, run track because I can go get my Letterman's jacket. I was big on my Letterman's jacket. Get that straight away. I was quite lucky.
Explain what a Letterman jacket is, please. Letterman's jacket, explain.
All right. So all those high school films where they got these jackets, all these accolades and everything.
Teen Wolf. Sorry, they might be too old for that, but yeah, Teen Wolf.
I mean, I was quite lucky where my freshman year of high school, I was the only varsity player in all the sports I was on. So I had one as a freshman, which is rare, especially in Texas.
Varsity, explain for those that don't know. This is we're in Britain. Remember, you lot are saying stuff. Remember, this is Brit ball. Yeah.
All right. So you can question anyone that's out there. There's basically you got a varsity team, which is the A squad. Usually, it's made of the older guys, the sophomores, the juniors, the seniors, and then you got usually a freshman squad or a JV squad, and the JV guys are in between.
Yeah.
So for freshmen to be up there. Now we had a great team. But the problem is, I was saying before, basically I got to the age of 18 and you have to pick. You can only go to see 5 schools officially.
Wow. And officially. Everyone knows what that means.
But once again, the problem is all of those sports basically finish in the spring. So you got to make your decision around that time. So you're trying to finish off your state championships. You're trying to visit these schools in between training. How are you going to fly all the way to New York and then be back at training? Do all these, it's difficult. And at the end of the day, you got to then make your choice of which school you're going to go with. So, I mean, it's very good to be a 2-sport athlete, but eventually, as they did with Jack, they'll be like, you got to make a choice now.
So there's a limit to how much you need to diversify, yeah? You have to sometimes get to a point where you got to focus and say, all right, if I want to be a pro or get to that stage, you need to just kind of hunker down and do what you're doing.
Happened with all of them, like Kyler Murray, a lot of those guys were baseball or American football.
Do you know what? I was going to get onto that. Mahomes, all those boys with the arm. It's like
Wilson.
So you got the arm, you got the arm. If you got the leg, you got the leg. So you boys are kind of sitting, I guess, in between. So now, John, again, you're doing your goalkeeper thing out there. You could come to the UK and play for any team kicking. You could probably go NFL Academy and just say you're 18 with that fake passport and say, boom, let me kick. But what I'm saying is, I think as 3 guests, like you've all kind of had a different perspective, but have a good understanding of semi-pro sport, professional sport, and the demands of that. So Jack, obviously SC Dons now are they're an amateur team, but they're full of guys that most of them have played to a semi-pro, if not a professional level. What with like even when I was growing up, Ian Wright started really late. Played for Arsenal, played for Crystal Palace. He was really late, but he loved it, had a passion for his sport. He got involved and he managed to make it late. Jamie Vardy, another late one. What would you say to people that are kind of disheartened with sport and kind of have the passion, but maybe not the athletic ability? Obviously, lockdown now, people got time. What's the importance of time, passion, all that to achieve and stuff in sport for
I
you?
think the main thing is to enjoy the sport, man. It doesn't matter what level you're playing, as long as you're enjoying it, you're always going to be happy. You can chase, and you see it all the time. These young guys, they sign for non-league sides a bit higher up the pyramid and then go and rot away on the bench. They don't get minutes. They don't get the exposure they think they were going to get. And then they end up coming back down the ladder a year or two later. But at that point, they're a year or two older.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
That makes the difference. Whereas if you drop down a level or two levels and you're playing regularly and you're getting your minutes regularly and you're getting that exposure, the only way is really up.
Yeah. Match fit.
And
you're match fit. You're playing in 90 minutes. You're getting,
and that's what I think the biggest thing is now is just these guys chasing the name, saying they're playing for this side, but they're not getting minutes. They're not playing. They want to put it on Instagram. They've got a tracksuit, like, and it is, you're laughing.
No, it's too true. It is too true, bro.
It's genuinely a mentality of too
They're
many players.
catfishing us, innit? They're catfishing us, bro.
And that, unfortunately, is the downfall of their career. Or stopping that progression. So it's.
John, you're close. Now, let me go to John quickly. I shall come back to you. John, you're close. You're probably, from what I've seen, in good enough shape to kind of make a push again. If you go down to one trial and do what you did in the last game, I saw you. I think you saved the penalty recently. One. And again, you're playing week in, week out. I think you probably play in the right amount. I'm not sure. Do you train during the week, like with the team as well? Yeah. With the team, so it's constructive. Like, and even when we were messing about, we were doing it in a structured way. I hadn't played for ages, but I felt like I was being challenged. We were having a laugh and putting forfeits in, and like, yes, I felt like the pain like the day after, but it was one of them ones where I felt so refreshed. I felt like 5 years younger just for having a laugh, kicking the ball around, and you know what I mean. Like for you now in that position where you kind of at a crossroads because you're having a rest while Corona's on. You've got the American prospects there. Again, lockdown could be extended. How determined now are you to still keep pushing? How do you say you're 20?
So I'm 22.
22. So again, certain footballers are at their prime. They're starting each week. What keeps you motivated to still keep pushing?
So I've got two main motivations that keep pushing me. I majority of the time people go and say that their biggest motivation is their family. And for me, of course, that's the case, but that's still my biggest motivation. My family has absolutely no clue about football at all. But no, one of those things is the fact that I've been written off ever since like the age of 15. Just because
when you say written off, though, what is it? Like cold blunt said to you like that you can't do it?
You know what? The consensus in especially in the UK is that if you're not at an academy by the age of 16, then like, what are you doing with football? And like, it's just one of those things that as kids, people always believe that the best players are in academies. And I've realized that and I only realized this when I was given an opportunity to play at an exit trial with guys from Manchester City, Liverpool, all of these that just got released.
All ex-academy boys.
Exactly.
Yeah?
And I saw the quality of some of these players and I knew that.
Were they hungry though, or were they kind of like, I'm good enough?
Some were. Some thought that they deserved it just because of the fact that they were at big clubs. But it was just then when I realized that I wasn't too far off these guys, but they've been, at these clubs for years. And it's just the whole sense of like, once again, people start writing you off when you're at 18 because people believe that you deserve a contract by then. But the reality is that by 18, so many people give up on football that the opportunities are there. Like for people that are still hungry enough to find their position, it's still there. It's just the whole sense of you just have to put in more work because the quality is higher, but the opportunities are still there. So that's my motivation all the time. It's just the sense of, I've been written off for so long that I feel like I want to prove all these people wrong that actually there's still that little glimmer of hope. So if I was to sign a professional contract anywhere and get to be on that field for the first time in a long while at that level, I would love it. You know, that's what keeps me going. And the second one, of course, is just the fact that, you know, going back to the whole written off situation, I grew up majority of my life in Stockwell, in southwest London, which isn't the most glamorous of areas, you know. And just everybody over there is written off from early. We've only had, you know, a handful of players that got into Premier League or just in general into like football. You know, you've got like your Nathaniel Clydes or whatever. But it's just the sense of I saw so many talented players that are out there and they just give up on football and they go into, you know, the hard life, unfortunately. And it was one moment when I came back from America and I just remember these guys like coming up to me and they just went, "Wait, you're that guy that plays in America?" You know, all of that. And, you know, at the time I didn't play for anyone, you know, in America, anyone big or anything like that. So it was just the sense of like, I saw that those kids were inspired, so I just want to give back to my community with that aspect. And even now, when I play games for Under the Radar, and I can see like kids looking at that and going, "Oh wow, wait, what?" Like, there's a chance that when I'm a bit older, I could do all of these things. It's like those are like the type of things that just keep me going, especially during lockdown, because lockdown is so easy to lose motivation and just you know, stop doing what you're doing and. You know, just any single time I'm down and I just like or feel lazy, I just kind of try to put that back into my head in that sense.
Excellent. It's the moments. That sounds like you've had kind of key triggers to think, you know what, I gotta keep going. When those people come up to you and said you're the guy, like knowing that people know you and you don't even know them. Again, now you're on YouTube and now you must get a lot more people kind of saying, "Oh,
here and there."
It's all good. It's all good. Ash, so hearing obviously these two younger guys give their experience. What was it like for you that grew up and again did it before compared to what it is now? Obviously the themes are similar, but again, I guess in the politics and the institutions were slightly different, or is it still that same traditional grind for the pros or the guys that want to get up to the pros?
It's the grind. Like I mean, it's like, I'm trying to think, when you're maybe 16, there's maybe 3 or 4 of you in each room, you know, are going to go to the top places. Like Ryan Motes, when we played together, he was, you know, beating me into the training. We'd be there every single day. Chris Phillips, Matt Norgan was always there. So the guys that made it to the NFL, we always hung out. We always were the ones at training, doing every single thing that coach asked, everything more than he asked. And then as a multi-sport athlete, you get down in the track, you think you're pretty good, and you see Adrian Peterson running like a 10.5, you know, right next to you. Just like, okay, there's always someone bigger and badder. But going back as well, I think the biggest steps in my career was actually when I was taken away from the game. For example, my junior year, I broke my leg in American football, which I'd never broken anything. As a captain, I could have stood there on the sideline with the team, but what I decided to do is I started going up in the booth. And I was literally in the booth with
analyzing,
with the offensive defensive coordinators. And then
excellent.
Coach would actually kind of laugh because sometimes he'd actually put the headset on me, you know, if we actually got up, and I would actually start calling things in, and I could see him turn around and be like, "Is that Ash up there?" And
awesome,
but it's that next
so
level.
You made a conscious effort to kind of level up where you could contribute directly and get into the vibe of, all right, I could stand on the sideline, getting cold, wishing I was there, or I could get involved.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even realize how big that was, because it's like back when I played Madden, you know, I'd pick plays because I was like, "Oh, that's a good play, that's going to work." Whereas once I was in the booth, I'm like, I'm picking that play because they're in a cover 3, and that means I've got a soft spot in this zone. I see exactly what they're at.
All right. Go easy on the technical stuff. Yeah, we're talking about hands, feet, and kicking today. All right.
But the same thing happened to me when I was playing in the USL PDL in Odessa. Is I was a hot shot left back. But our coach was, but our coach was Mexican, and we had a midfielder named Gigi. He now worked with the Mexican national team, and they played like a 3-5-2. And the guy ahead of me, he was a 6'4", very poised, like a different style to me. And I didn't like being benched, but once again, being benched allowed me to see, what do they see in this guy? I need to develop my game. And I found out that I actually got better in training, better not playing, better doing those like 60-minute matches in between as well. Because a lot of the time when you're doing like under 23 stuff, you're competing against the other pros who are just coming back from fitness. So sometimes you get better game time like that than you do actually playing in a full match where you're just trying to win. Whereas those other matches, there was less pressure and you're literally just there to develop your game. And that helped me really just take it to the next echelon. Is those times where you actually have to take a step back. Yeah.
Was that for the soccers?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna play for them for 2 years in a row because my uni coach was the manager there, and they lost in the final a couple of years.
What team is that? What team is that? Let me give you
Midland Odessa Soccers. It's somewhere out in the middle of nowhere, Texas. I think it's like kind of like
K. Soccers with a K, yeah.
West. I think it's kind of like West Texas.
They call it West Texas. Yeah, I was on the inaugural team. So yeah. It's a great organization, though.
Yeah,
is that them?
Yeah,
that's them. Yeah,
man,
I'm pretty sure
technology, isn't it?
I'm pretty sure my friend is the head coach there now, Johnny Clifford. Oh no,
head coach. No, he might have just got sacked. You just got him sacked.
He's been axed.
All right, cool. So we're talking about obviously being special, being a kicker, football. First name for me when it comes to soccer is Bex. I used to love Bex. Obviously, Beckham's technique was revolutionary. And everyone used to say, oh, yeah, he stays behind the training, kicks balls, does this, does that. And for me, as a soccer player, he was a specialist because the way he chose to, I don't know, elevate his game by having that brand of, his technique was mad. That goal against, I think it was Greece to get us into that kind of just cemented him as the guy you can call on when you need it done. And again, as a kicker, even now, the muscle memory of kicking field goals, like, the lean back and all that, in your mind, you do what you practice. You practice what you preach. You know what I mean? So for you, Jack, what's the importance of technique when you're talking about, again, hands and feet?
I mean,
and practicing.
Technique for me is the biggest part of my goalkeeping game. I would say, like, hands. I coach like young guys looking to go academy and stuff, and the one thing I hone down to them is the technique. For me that's so important, and in transitioning into American football, like I don't have the biggest legs. They're quite slim, they're quite skinny, which I've been called behind the goal a few times this year. But do you know what? when you're kicking that ball, it is all about the technique and the timing. Because if you haven't got that, it don't matter how far you can kick it, it's not going to go between the posts. And
so when you're golfers, isn't it? Golfers, you got to have the right mechanics, isn't it? You're a machine, essentially.
It is exactly that. And then within that technique, like I say, is the timing. And the biggest thing for me is not being able to go out and put the ball on a tee and kick it through the post 20, 30, 40, 50 times. It's can I get the snap? Can I get the hold? And then can I get the kickoff successfully over the guys in front of me? Because that timing element for me was always the hardest part.
How did it translate? So, for instance, kicking a goal kick as a keeper, how does that vary from kicking off and then field goals? What kind of things do you have to tweak?
I mean, on my goal kicks, I don't know about you, John, but growing up, I always did the same steps and then the same
angle of approach.
So I always used to do like 5 steps back, 2 to the left, and then I had the same technique every time I was doing my goal kicks.
Did you practice a lot on air, or was it literally ball, just hit the ball, or did you do like have the coach break it down that much?
I always sort of aimed for an area. I never aimed for a player. I just aimed for an area. The player's got legs; he can get anywhere in that area. Anywhere in that area,
Excellent.
That's what I always got taught by the goalie coaches. Aim for area. If you aim for a player and you mess up, it can do things to confidence and stuff. So aim for a smallest sort of area, and then anywhere in that area the player should be able to get to. And then translating that to obviously American football, the same steps. Obviously, you're doing the same 3 steps back, 1 to the left, and that's what I did. And so I had always
Who's that? Who's that there? I think that's you, mate. What you got in your kit locker, mate? Look at that.
There you go.
Techie.
But yeah, so I always did those same steps. But obviously, with a goal kick, you got as much time as you really want to sort of pick out where you're going to play and what you're going to do with it. Whereas when you come on the field for a kick, you've maybe got 30 seconds. It was a little bit better when I was in the US, but obviously here he goes. If you go down, you'll find an American football one somewhere, I'm sure.
I'll grab one in a sec.
But I lost the train of thought now. But no, obviously you go on. You got 30 seconds to sort of get yourself set up and get the kick away. And for the guys that have played Britball, there it is. For the guys that have played Britball, and I love the Hornets to death, but it was never the most organized place where we were always missing players. So we had 10, not 11. So I was having to check where we were sort of mismatched on what side, so I knew where they were coming from. And I had other factors in my head as I was kicking the ball. Even things as such as like the snapper changing every snap, or the holder changing every snap. And you really need that continuity within the guys to sort of make sure you got the kicks away. Whereas in the US, obviously a lot more organized. We had the set snapper who was really good and went to Oregon State. And then we had one of the wide receivers as my holder. So I knew each time what was happening. And that's sort of the differences and the similarities, really.
Excellent. So feet, mechanics, consistency. Obviously in American football becomes a very quick operation. Bam, bam, bam. Like it happens within 3.5, 4 seconds. They get it away with all the madness in front as well. Right. Let me get a little sign up for you, John. Training, practice.
Yeah.
I even get this. Can I get any bigger? Nah,
Hey, that one was for the cameras.
Making it work.
100%.
So where was that? Where were you training in that video?
That's actually a good question. I think this was like in Ealing Broadway. This is actually with like just for goalkeepers coaching. So that's like a pretty big brand when it comes down to coaching in London, which I was like quite lucky enough with that. But kind of going back to the whole technique situation, I feel like it is a make or break, because when I was in America in my first or second season, I injured my ligament in my ankles, in my good foot as well. So I had a problem when it came down to actually. Oh,
is that your save? Yeah, is that you?
Yeah.
Is that you taking it, Jan? Is that you kicks, bro?
I wish I was that techie.
No worries. So yeah, injuring the States.
Literally injured myself during the season, but the problem was that because I was like one out of the 2 goalkeepers that actually got minutes, I made sure that I actually penalty save, let's go.
Good job.
That was the biggest problem, that I had to play every single game of the season, so I never really had the chance to like recover and like rehab myself and all of these things. So once the spring season came about, I took care of myself and I had to reprogram my kicking technique completely.
Jeez, the technician.
Yeah. And like I was lucky enough that was also the advancement of goalkeepers when it came down to like goal kicks. So it went into when Alisson and Edison became much bigger, especially in the UK. So goal kicks were no longer about, okay, I'm just going to try and get it past the half and just hope that, people get it. For me, it was more now, how can I utilize my kicks for us to have an advantage on the field?
100%.
So whenever you watch like the UTR videos nowadays, whenever I try to kick the ball, I try to utilize it in the sense of, okay, if I kick this behind the defenders, can we actually get a goal off this? And this season, especially the balls that I've been playing towards Sam Bailey, because that's literally, that's literally been the link all season. But yeah, every single time I play it, like we've gotten like probably like 5 1-on-1s for him to finish off, and like we even got a penalty off that. So you know,
Shout out Cobham, shouting out Mr. Big Kid.
let's go. But
Let's
yeah,
go.
it's just one of those things where not only watching other players and how they would strike the ball, but also understanding the game has kind of like allowed me to improve my technique and just step it up a game in that sense. And it's totally it changed everything in that sense. You know, it definitely changes you from just a regular goalkeeper to potentially even better goalkeeper. You know, in that
goalkeeper
sense.
position is definitely evolving, and it's one of them ones. I remember it used to be, the big kid, go and get him in goal because he can't run.
Yeah,
and it's like everyone didn't want to go and go. It was 66. If you get 66, you stay in goal. You stay in goal. Like I remember playing in goal, Goldsmiths community center, and for Moonshot, I think it was like they linked to my primary school. And shout out Tony Simpson at Moonshot. He bigged me up so much for making one save. The adrenaline after that, I was thinking, like you can actually change games by being that guy that maybe people underplayed a bit, and you can actually make a big impact. Ash, so hearing these guys talk technique, what do you think the importance of having that professional mindset, even though you might play a position where you're only on the field for like a minute in total as a kicker? What's the importance of maintaining that focus and making sure you make a kicker feel like wanted and, part of the team? You know what I mean?
That I feel like kickers don't get a lot of the credit that they deserve, because it is just that sometimes you might be called upon literally just one time to do this one job, but the whole 60 minutes you must be that mentally focused to know that that's your moment. And as Jack said, with the timing and everything, still stay in that same kind of rhythm. But that's what is, Americans are very good at that whole everything is a mindset. So in the 100%. Gym, the technique is there, because if you have the technique right, it's going to get you in the right frame of mind, so it's going to carry you through to the game and everything. It's literally everything, a bit like war, and when you go back to all those things as well, it starts at the very basics to then take you a bit further.
Look at that. Gridiron Hub shouting out Matt Prater. Now he has 7 career games with multiple 50-yard field goals, the most in NFL history. So the story that you were telling, Jack, about the first time you kicked one, obviously you weren't intimidated about the range because you knew you could kick it, but again, to do it in a stadium professionally with the crowd, no crowds at the moment, with that pressure to know that a franchise, a team is depending on you to just do that job to that level. 50 yards it's a long way. It's like half of a soccer field, isn't it? For people that don't know how big American football field is, plus another 10 yards for the end zone. But it's been nice, boys. Like basically, I'm only going to do an hour today. So what we'll do is we'll hang around after, have a little chat between ourselves. But plays. All right, as a kicker, Jack, most memorable play for you over here and the most memorable play for you in the States? As I'm guessing it will be a kick or a specials. So throw something out there for us.
Go back to my last season with the Hornets. It was a field goal. I think it was 49.
Playoff deciding one, or to get you into the playoffs?
I think it won us the game. I think it won us the game. I think it was a 48, 49-yard field goal.
Is it on your Insta?
Yeah, straight through the post.
Jeez.
And yeah, man, it was a really cool experience, cool day. Obviously,
how was your confidence in your holder and your snapper? Were you confident they were going to get it down for you?
You always have to be. Because if you can't go into a kick thinking that you're not going to have.
Look at that. Jeez, it's flying.
I think that was a kickoff. Always you can't go into the kick with doubt. You always have to think that, but obviously when it happens, it's frustrating.
I can imagine.
And then over here, over in the US, I got 2 really. The first one being my first field goal playing American football. It was against Golden.
Shout out the London Hornets.
Golden something in Orange County. It was it was my first ever game. Kicked my first PAT the first time I had an opportunity to go on the field. I think I got
look at this poser. Come on, come on.
I think I got
Love it.
12 points that game on my first game as a kicker. So that was brilliant. And then a few weeks later, we played Long Beach City College.
Wow.
And going back to it, the snap was awful for the first time from Leo. It went over me. It come into me, but my line had been like suppressed and people got through, and I managed to run, I think it was like 45 yards with the ball.
Mad.
No one catching me. I think it's the first time they saw like, wow, this white boy's got burners.
Athlete, bro. You could probably burn off more guys.
And I got the first down on it, which was a big play because we were down in that game. And it's the first time my sort of teammates have got around me and were really buzzing with what I'd done. So they're sort of my memorable moments.
That's excellent, man. John, go on.
Yeah.
So obviously you're a keeper by trade. That penalty save for UTR recently again must have given you a massive buzz. Did you win a cup recently as well?
Yeah, so that's literally next week's video.
No spoilers, no spoilers.
That's probably like the biggest moment I've had in the UK for a while. And I know that it's Sunday League, but it was just nice because it was the first time my mum was able to actually see me win a trophy. She was previously like my bad luck charm, but when it comes down to games, when it came down to games,
spoiler alert.
Hey, Sam Bailey.
Yeah,
he's gaffer, yeah. Captain, he's captain. Or just
Captain
a baller.
Tolly, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it's just like, especially if you watch the game, at some points it looked like we're going to struggle to actually get a result, and for us to come back, and I had a couple big saves in that game, and we was able to turn the tide in that sense. So that was definitely my biggest moment in the UK. But in the US, I'll probably say just probably at the end of the season when I was able to get like the recognition as a goalkeeper, and I got like freshman athlete of the year just because of the fact that goalkeepers.
Awards are awards, bro. Like awards are awards. Trust me.
It's a big achievement over there getting one of those players, and it's the same. My freshman year in West Style, it's the same thing. You get you don't realize these awards, but you get all region. I think I got all freshmen. Not all freshmen. Sorry, I got all conference first team as a freshman. And at the time, a lot of the goalkeepers were seniors, so that's a big deal. And then I managed to get into the all region team in my first year over there. And again, these achievements, like, you can't take them for granted. You get a nice little certificate plaque thing to put up, and it's always nice to look back on those things and memories,
Yeah, 100%. And it was tough as well. Sorry. I was going to say it was tough as well because Jack probably felt the same thing. Like, and I mean, you played for JUCO, so it might have been a little bit different. But when I first came in, I had to go up against two senior goalkeepers. So just making a name for yourself to start off with, especially if you're an athlete from Europe, it's like it can actually be so tough. Oh no,
there you go. There you got it. You caught it.
Yeah, my first year, John, I was actually at D2 school.
Oh, okay.
And it was the first time that the program had actually had a team. So it was an inaugural season, and most of us were pretty much all freshmen going against a lot of sides with senior players. And that year we finished second in conference and lost in the semi-finals. And then the team actually, when I left to move to JUCO, like I said, I had a bit of a problem with Alabama, and I didn't really get on with the culture and stuff. But when I'd left, they won the conference 3 years in a row. So it's a real special team there.
Man said hands, yeah. Sorry, Mr. Dodgeball. I love it. That's quality. All right, Ash, you've been waiting patiently, bro. Talk to us about accolades, getting certified in sport, and how sport has enabled you to be the businessman that you are. Feel free to plug the thing.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me was, the actual, not the setback and the comeback, because I think the biggest one for me was I was a D1 athlete doing track, racing against the best, but I knew my heart wasn't in it, and I knew I was still good enough because I kept playing when I go back to Dallas. And they're like, man, you can still play soccer. And so I decided, like, in the spring to go to a few trials, because it was actually a bad story. I did the high jump at the Southern Conference Championships, and as soon as I landed, I basically had my bags packed, jumped a taxi, took a plane to eastern New Mexico to actually make the trial. Just made it literally all on time. Coach signs me up. Yeah, coach signs me up, get the scholarship. At the end of the year, coach just says, you know, I just think we're going to go in a different direction. I'm going to cut your scholarship into next year. I was like, cool. Rather than, you know, taking it on the chin, I literally said, look, I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to come back. So I went to Dallas, ended up on Team Dallas. We played in Georgia, all those things that you do to get better. I get a phone call a week before I go back saying the coach is gone and there's a new coach in. And he says, it's a free for all for everyone. So I put it all in. He moved me to left back, a new position from what I had. And the first game I'm on the bench and I'm like, did I do all this for nothing? Did I literally do all this for nothing? You know, second game, actually halfway through, the second game, one of the guys gets injured at halftime. He puts me on at left back. I end up contributing 2 assists. Third game, I'm the captain. And I started for the next 2 years. And then you go into it.
2 years
all
of
American,
3 games.
all regional, first team, all conference, signed with the Midland Sockers. And then from the next year, then takes me over to Houston. And then when you talk about the business aspect, Houston Leonis, they were an 0-16 team that season. And they recruited me. And they said, we're going to bring you on. And we want you to help develop other people, market, do whatever you need to do. We're going to have 1 season to try to go in the high.
So you're your own brand. You were your own brand of athlete. You did your thing.
Yeah.
Consistency is king, yeah?
Yeah, we actually built up a team in Houston for its final year, beat the Sockers to come back, make the playoffs, make the Sweet 16 and all that other stuff. And then we all did go to other teams from there on out. But that was a big collective, and that was a big thing for me that I can carry into business, because a lot of people can only succeed with the best around them, and but not many people
self-driven.
can take
You got to be self-driven,
and drive others and actually build something out of nothing. So you'll be seeing a lot of that.
That's awesome. So literally, this is a new show for me. Thank you guys for coming on. I wish we could talk for longer, but you know what it is that I'm just starting this out. Thank you all for coming on, and it's one of them. I want to do more with, you know, people's energies, because you guys have got energy, man. Like, things are locked down, things are stopped, but you got guys that are still doing things away from football. Being athletic is not just out there running around. It's a mind state, it's a mind frame to keep pushing yourself. And to be fair, doors have been shut on everybody right now in life, but at the end of the day, I think we need to just make sure we kind of just promote that mentality of pushing it in the right way, within the boundaries, you know, all the analogies of sport in life. Do you know what I mean? So Jack, you coach kids. John, you work with Kids Foundation. And obviously, Ashley, you're a father. Jack, congratulations on soon becoming a father, sir.
Thank you.
It's like, I don't know if you got kids, John. Now, we didn't get that far into the chat, but literally,
no. Not yet.
We'll stay on after we come off the live and chat. But I'll definitely get you on a live again, every single one of you, because it's one of them ones where today was slightly rushed because life was a mazza, but literally I just got set up with the tech. I'm not a mic man like John with the boom and that. I gotta get me one of them. But Ash, John, Jack, we'll do this again.
Pleasure.
Thank you for all your contributions.
Pleasure.
Feel free to share your socials, Jack.
Yeah.
Your socials, Insta.
What is it? Jacko1192. So go follow that on Insta, Jacko1192.
And yourself, John, you want to share yours?
Mine is just Jazzev27 on Instagram.
Excellent. Ash, you want to share your socials?
I don't got no socials, man. I'm too old, man. I got a business. When
this goes up, make sure you comment. It's not self-indulgent. Just comment on the thing, share what you want to share, because I'm gonna make sure this gets out there afterwards. It's all recorded and it will go out. And again, thanks, and we'll chat after the live's done. And everyone who was tuned in and got involved and even watches it after the event, thank you very much. Much more to come. This was just the tip of the iceberg. Shout out the kickers, shout out the Brit ballers, shout out everyone struggling through lockdown now, and even those who are excelling through lockdown, everyone's in the same boat. Let's keep pushing and kicking on. All right, guys, thank you very much, and on the other side in a bit.